So my project is about student apathy, and I also kind of researched a lot about why students lack motivation and what we can do as teachers to get students more motivated. So my classroom problem, like I said, is student apathy and lack of motivation. The reason I chose that is because it's one of the biggest problems, not only in my classroom, but in my school. And it's honestly what frustrates me the most during my school day. I just hate seeing kids do nothing because they are not motivated to do so and they don't really care about school. So, kind of one of my goals, especially in my English 1 class, which is all freshmen, I really want to get them motivated to do well in school and at least to care about it. So, some themes that I came across while I was researching was from an article called Motivating Students Factors to Consider by Carol and Buckmaster. They said that motivation can be extrinsic or intrinsic, and that teachers can help facilitate that, or the opposite and impede it. Another article, well, this one was from several articles, I included 2 on this slide, is that student apathy is born out of personal choice and grown through mediocre teaching, archaic assessment, and the absence of learning purposes. So when students can't find a reason for what they are learning or why teachers teach a certain thing, that's when the apathy and the lack of motivation come into play. Kind of going along with that, a couple other articles, achieving engagement through real world examples and development of a self-report instrument. It says that teachers need to find examples that directly reinforce the lesson and also relate it to not only students today, but their futures. And kind of going along with that, making sure that we are using backwards planning. That way we kind of figure out what we want students to know at the end and how we're going to get there. So I kind of narrowed it down to 4 themes. So again, student apathy, which is defined as indifference or lack of emotional connection. So that's just what I've been seeing in my classroom. I teach English language arts, and that's what my unit that I focused on is. So I just really want students to connect, even if they hate reading, even if they hate writing. I want them to find a purpose for what we're doing in class. So my 3 different plans, the first one was focus mostly on parent communication. I researched 3 different apps per se. One is called Blooms, and that is a parent communication tool. Remind 101, that is mostly when teachers can send text messages to students, and then Google Classroom. And then the way I would compare data is to compare it between English 1 and 2. However, that lesson or that plan I didn't think was the best. The next plan is plan number 2, and that was more focused on web-based learning and creating lessons that use technology. So I used 4 main resources for this one. The first one is called Insert Learning. That is basically an extension to your Google Chrome, and it allows teachers to choose any website that they want and kind of create their own lessons, which I'll talk about in a second. Google Classroom again, where assignments and readings and anything are posted. Another resource called No Red Ink, that is a grammar source. It has students kind of walk through grammar at their own pace. It's all online, and then they track it online as well. And then Kyenza is a Chrome extension as well that teachers can use to record feedback on Google Docs. And then plan 3 is focused on presenting materials. So I used Bunky and Nearpod, and those are just kind of presentation tools. I really like that idea, and I think that it would also help students be engaged. However, I didn't feel that plan number 3 was the best for me either, because I don't do a ton of direct instruction. In my classroom, I don't have kids take a lot of notes. And so I thought that plan 2 was the best for me because it worked with the unit I was currently working on, and it also allowed students to use the internet, which is what they're most excited about, and use their phones and all that jazz. So, like I said, I chose number 2. It seemed like the most rewarding for students. I think it was better than number 1 because personally, I think it takes more than just parent communication to get students involved. And again, like I said, even if information is presented in like a fun and unique way, some students still aren't going to care about the subject matter. So the plan number 2 has a ton of technology, and I think it will be best for students. So here's the 4 resources that I use the most. I put some little thumbs ups on my PowerPoint here because I really loved Common Lit. I loved No Red Ink. I kind of loved Insert Learning, and I partially loved Kyenza. So I'll start with Common Lit. This is what teachers see, and this is also what students see. So teachers go in and pick a article that they want students to read, and everything goes right into Google Classroom, which I have basically implemented in all my classes, and I use it all the time. So this is what students see. They read through the article, and then they can answer these questions right on the screen. So the ones that I have used so far, there are 4 or 5 multiple choice questions, and then there's also a writing one right here. And this, once I actually assign it to students, it will come up with a little text box right in this area, and they will be able to type. And then with that one, we talked a lot about using text evidence, which they can get directly from the article to their left. One of the reasons why I wanted to use Common Lit so much was because we were gearing up for the ISASP tests, which are brand new standardized testing, and my students and all the students in Iowa are really, or I felt that they would be unprepared to read something online and answer the questions online, because in past years everything has been hard copy and using the bubble sheets. So this was kind of some practice for them. The one thing I really like about Common Lit is that it compiles all the data for you. So this is kind of what the teacher sees, and it shows the data as a class. So it breaks it down, tells you the class average. It says how many the percent of multiple choice questions that were correct. And it also breaks down scores. The green on that pie chart right here, the green is people who got between 76 and 100%. The lighter yellow color is 51 to 75, and then the orange is up to 50, and then the red is 0 to 25, so that would be like far from proficient. It also gives the highest scores and the lowest scores. I don't usually like that, but in this sense I do, because a lot of times it's different from the kids who are normally getting everything right. This is another screen that the teachers see. It breaks it down by question and by student. So just looking at this first one, okay, I can see that this student missed question number 2, question number 4, and question number 5, but they did get number 3 right. It also, and it included on the screenshot, but it includes like the number of kids who missed question 1. That way I can kind of go back and look at the numbers and see, do I need to reteach the whole class? Do I need to do small group intervention, or do I need to do an individualized instruction? And it also, the other part I really love about this is that it anchors everything to language standards that we're currently working on. So these are all reading for literature, reading for information, and it breaks it down by standards. So I can also go back to another sheet that I have that is focusing on standards and type in, this kid was proficient, this kid was not. And then we do this once a week and compare the kids' results from that. The next one is No Red Ink. So this is kind of what it looks like at first. Basically what it is a self-paced grammar guide that walks students through different lessons. Teachers can pick the lessons, or they can just sign up for and they just pick the grade level that they're on and do a diagnostic, which is kind of self-picks or whatever. And then also kids use a Google Doc to track their own process. So while doing this, students can take pre-assessments, then they do practice, and then they do a post-assessment to show their learning. So here's the tracker that the kids use. They document what percentage they got correct on each lesson, and then they can see how they've improved throughout the course of a unit or throughout the entire semester. Students really liked No Red Ink. They asked me to do it multiple times. It's also good if they finish early. They can just jump on No Red Ink and go from there. Insert learning, this is kind of the ins and outs. This is the toolbar that you use. You can highlight text and have them do a specific task. You can add a post-it note, which is right here, and you can just say like stop and think, or you can ask a question. Then there are specific questions, and you can pick from this drop-down menu. You can even make it multiple choice if you want. And then this one is a discussion question also, so you can kind of have them predict or do whatever you want. And this is available for any website. So it can be an article that you found online. It can be something that you've created. It's just a Google extension, so it will work no matter what. And then Kyenza is the last one. This was the one that also had a sideways thumb because it's really fast, and I think teachers can comment very quickly, but the problem I had with it is that it didn't let me highlight or just arrow like a screen recording would. So I would actually have to type in what I wanted the kid to change and say it out loud. So that's the only part I didn't like. It was really, really fast when I was giving feedback before students' final drafts were due, because we all know that sometimes that takes a lot of time. So overall, some of the strengths, I really loved Common Lit and I really loved No Red Ink. It kept students engaged, which kind of was the whole point. And I believe that it's important to incorporate technology into the classroom, and it's important to keep students engaged because they, whether we like it or not, kids are in a world that is constantly changing and, fully immersed in technology. So I think the more we use it, the better. Weaknesses, like I kind of said earlier, Kyenza and Insert Learning were both really cool, but some challenges were that Kyenza didn't allow me to comment while I was marking on the paper, and then Insert Learning, it was just challenging to give students a grade. So even though students seem to be engaged, I'm not sure that this unit will be sustainable just because it kind of does seem like a technology fad, so those could always change throughout the years. And then several other factors could potentially play into it. For the problem solving, this can help students solve problems that they struggle with grammar. It can improve student engagement, which then, improves student achievement. And the more technology that kids use, the better we can help prepare them for their future careers. So the time part, once it's planned, it doesn't really take a lot of time. I was kind of hoping for the opposite. So Kyenza saves teachers tons of time on feedback. Common Lit